You're listening to the PHNX Daily Bet Show. I'm Shane. Wait, actually, I don't think I'm Shane Diefenbach. I'm Jacob Franklin. I'm your host for this week. I'm joined by.
Shane, is that you?
No, this is not Shane. If I was Shane, I would have gone through the major change with the mustache. I wouldn't have had
Yeah.
anything there. I almost wore a fake mustache in honor of Shane, but he's taking a much deserved day off, and so here I am. Here I am
Hey,
to
welcome,
with you,
Jacob.
Johnny. We're on the Daily Bet Show, hosted by or sponsored by DraftKings. Download today and put in the code PHNX. Um, America's best sportsbook app. I've had a lot of fun this week using that. I had never bet on sports before, so here
There
we
you
are.
go.
And Johnny, I'm sure you've had a pretty good week as well.
I have. Jacob, thanks for joining us. All of our loyal viewers, after simply 1 week here, do not fear. Jacob has a very good take on sports gambling and is a valued member of our staff and what we do here. And Shane will be back at some point when we allow him to come back on air with us.
No,
But no,
he's been booted off for a couple days, but he'll be back. Don't worry.
yeah, for sure. No, it's been a fruitful, really 5-6 day period. When you talk about college football last weekend, the NFL, we mixed in a little bit of MLB action. It's been exciting, and a lot of that has been because DraftKings has given us free money, and we'll talk about that a little later on. It's not too late for those who haven't had a chance to maximize the $200 free using the promo code PHNX. But Jacob, I thought maybe a good time to start with what has worked well so far this 7-day period we've been doing this gig for you from a gambling perspective. You told me off air you're up $500 since you started the app.
I've made a killing in this first week. I might owe some of this to you and Shane, but I feel like I've pulled off a pretty great first week. I had some luck with a parlay that I hit in the Monday Night Football game, and I've taken away quite a good chunk of cash. And I don't know about you, but it seems like every day I scroll through my app and there's something that just makes complete sense to go bet on, and something that's not like I'm not afraid to go, use one of my free $25 bets, put some of my own money in there. But I've had a pretty good first week.
Yeah, I haven't gotten my commission check from you yet, so I'm anxious to see, if that was in fact because of the nuggets, the tasty nuggets that Shane and I have been dishing out. But that's great, man. I love hearing that.
On Sunday, I did take up your Najee Harris first to score a touchdown. I was a little bummed that didn't pay off. I was pretty confident that was going to work, but all in all, not a bad first week. How about you? What was your biggest hit of the week?
Oh, man. Well, I sprinkled and dabbled as I always do. I don't like to go all in with just one bet unless something egregious stands out. So I was pretty confident Cardinals were going to cover outright, and they did. I had the money line in that game. That paid out pretty well. I did $50 on that. So more than doubled my money there. And then I also liked a series of bets in the Monday night game, mostly on the side of Oakland. Oakland, Las Vegas. I thought they'd win outright. They did. I had a couple parlays that hit 3 out of 4, of course. Gambling, that doesn't count. But I felt, pretty good about them.
It only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's right. Yeah, I felt pretty good about them, other than I kind of got screwed in that Kansas City-Cleveland game because Kansas City started off so slow. Had they covered the -5.5, I would have had a payout of over $200 in a parlay that hit earlier that the Cardinals were actually included on. I ended up probably clearing about $250, $300, and I only bought in $500. So if you're wondering how that happened, I, of course, used the promo code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, got a free $200 to gamble with, $25 increments, as Jacob said, and just started sprinkling around on different bets that I liked. And I think, Jacob, to your point, there are so many unique prop bets outside of just the cut and dry, because you could look at the app, right, and say, man, these lines, I don't know if I have a good feeling about them one way or the other because it's so early in the season. Right. Maybe you don't like a ton of the matchups. I know, I feel that way about a couple matchups this weekend. But, man, there's just prop bets left and right that just give you phenomenal odds to hit on. And I really feel like that's where a lot of the money can be made right now.
Right. I feel like as I was going through that Monday Night Football game, I took some of the words that you and Shane were throwing at me as I produced that show. I know that I was wrong. I will admit this, Shane. I don't know if you're watching. I did shout from the back of the room that I didn't think Derek Carr was that good of a quarterback. I will give him a little more props after that game. I don't know. His QBR wasn't the highest, but over 400 yards, the big touchdown in overtime helped me win almost $200 on a 4-pick parlay that I had
Nice.
Darren Waller scoring. I had Lamar over 69.5 rushing yards, and both teams over 2.5 touchdowns. So I'll give him props just for this week. We'll see if he continues. But for this week, Shane, I apologize. I did tell you that he wasn't that good of a quarterback.
And we've got some kind of troll in the chat right now, and it might be our buddy Shane. Somehow he's off his rocker. But no, you were helped exponentially by that fourth quarter and overtime period. It sounds like in that Monday night game. And yeah, you really you have to remain aggressive in this landscape. And, it may be a bet that you feel like on the surface you don't feel great about. Still throw a little bit of action on it, and you never know what hits. I had a couple of those on Sunday, just kind of fillers where I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. And a couple of them ended up, making me a little bit of money. And that's the fun part, especially when you're using the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Again, we have talked about it. When you download the app right now, Jacob, and you use that promo code PHNX, you get that $200 free to bet. All you have to do is you have to place a mere $1 on any NFL game, or college game for that matter. That's promo code. That's right. I have $1. Pretty much anytime my wife lets me have $1, I have $1. That's the promo code PHNX to get your $200 in free bets instantly this week on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I believe this is right now the last week that DraftKings is going to be doing this. You have to be 21 years or older. Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEPS. New customers only, free to bet promotion. Minimum $5 deposit. $1 wager required. So you have to deposit $5. I mean, it's $5. Let's go, sacrifice your latte today and go make some money on DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply.
They don't give you your money back. At DraftKings, you end up with some money if you're right with your picks. That's exciting. It's just a deal that you can't really miss. Just like PHNX, you cannot miss all the content that we're giving you on a weekly basis. PHNX, we just started last week. It's about a week ago tomorrow, actually. And all week long, we've been giving you articles. We've been giving you podcasts, live shows. The coverage across all of our teams is just unbeatable. I don't know about you, Johnny, but, even the shows that I don't take part of, that I don't produce, I'm sitting there, I'm consuming. All these people are so knowledgeable about what they're talking about that I just don't think that this is a deal that you can go wrong with. Yeah,
and here's the best part. You can try it out if you're on the fence, right? And that's okay. First month's only going to cost you 50 cents. So you can get the next 30 days for $0.50, right? Less than you have to put on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Yeah. And then from there, it's $8.99 a month, or the more economically sound decision would be to go to gopnx.com right now, click join now, $59.88 for the entire year. Not only does that give you access to all of my articles on our favorite football team here in the desert, the Arizona Cardinals, but everybody else, Craig Morgan, everybody on our phenomenal staff that Jacob just mentioned, you get premium access to all the articles. You get access to the PHNX social lounge. You can come hang out with us, talk anything and everything, Valley Sports, free shirt from the PHNX locker.
That's the kicker for me.
I'm still waiting for my free shirt. I mean, it's
the free shirt. I mean, I don't know. I think their members are more important than us. I think that's true. I think they're catering to them first, as they should, of course, because the members are the most important part of our audience. We love being able to connect with you guys. And if you guys can continue to, talk back and forth with us, that just creates an awesome dialogue, and our content will only get better from there.
Absolutely. So that, again, go phnx.com, sign up today.
Yeah. All right. I know you and Shane have plenty of segments, so I thought I'd just steal one of those today. I think we're going to go with a little frequent flyers, take a few things that, people might be afraid to throw their money on, but tell them, why they might be wrong to be afraid in that scenario. I'll start us off. I think that my first pick, I'm going with South Carolina at Georgia. The last I checked, I think that line was Georgia minus 31.5. Look, this is SEC football. I do like South Carolina to cover that. This SEC is not ever really going to be a blowout that bad. I know South Carolina, they haven't looked horrible to start the year. So I really think that line's a bit gaudy. And so, I might not be afraid to take a little one, maybe one of my free $25 bets and throw it on South Carolina covering that spread. And my other one, I really like Tulane at Ole Miss to cover the plus 14. Now, let me tell you this. I know that that's a tight line, and this is another SEC game against somebody that's not in the SEC, but Tulane looked awesome. against Oklahoma in week
Even
1.
without Zaven Collins, they look awesome.
Right. I, you know, I don't know, but I think that Tulane going to Ole Miss, they almost took it from Oklahoma in week 1. So I don't think that it's too far-fetched to think that they can go give Ole Miss a run for their money.
Interesting. I just fumbled through that, by the way. Zaven Collins, Cardinal linebacker, went to Tulsa, not Tulane. Turns out those are two different universities. I like both of those, especially your South Carolina pick. 31 points seems just egregiously high. I'm going to stay out west for my first pick and go USC -3. I'm going to swallow the points with the Trojans at Washington. Listen, just fire Clay Helton. We've seen it how many times? I feel like it's a pattern in college football or in professional sports for that matter. You fire the coach. The next week, the team comes out. They play inspired football. This is a USC team that does not lack in talent. Maybe not SEC premium talent, but they've got 4- and 5-star recruits based on just the USC brand. So I think a Washington team that I think a lot of us feel like a little bit fraudulent, right? USC goes into Washington. I think they win by double digits. And, it's the interim coach effect. They go and they run off 3 or 4 straight impressive wins in a row. It's not going to matter. I don't think they're going to keep the interim coach long term. But on the flip side, I'm going to go back to the SEC. Central Michigan is a 19-point underdog at LSU. Ed Orgeron has not been the same since Joe Brady left for the Carolina Panthers. He hasn't been the same since Joe Burrow left for the Cincinnati Bengals. They lose games they're not supposed to. I'm not saying for a minute that Central Michigan at 1-1 is going to go down to Death Valley and beat LSU. But 19 points, similar to Georgia, plus 31, that is so many points right now to give an LSU program that I think this will be, in my opinion, a field goal game in the fourth quarter. And they're not blowing out anybody.
Yeah, I do agree that this will be close. I did watch that UCLA LSU game, and I felt like I didn't really like what I was seeing from the LSU sideline in that game. So I just, I don't trust that line at all. So I think you're right on this one.
Yeah, Eddie O, I think this is probably going to be his last year. He'll be coaching as a tight ends coach next year. Maybe Joe Brady gets an NFL job.
No, it's possible. Yeah. So, I kind of wanted to take that and flip it on its head too. I wanted to ask you, is there any game this weekend in college football that you aren't touching with a 10-foot pole?
Yeah. The most notable is in the Big 12. Nebraska is a 22-point underdog at Oklahoma. I don't have a good feel about this one way or the other. Nebraska, Scott Frost, similar to Eddie O, sitting duck, about to be fired, probably going to be fired, unfortunately for him, probably mid to late October. On the flip side, I don't really know what I'm getting from this Oklahoma team. They had a pretty poor week 1 showing. They rolled, a Division I AA school last week. Spencer Rattler, to me, I'm just uneasy about him. He's not Kyler Murray. He's not Baker Mayfield. He's not Jalen Hurts. I think he's grossly overrated right now. Everybody makes him out to be the number 1 overall pick next spring. I don't see that right now. And while I love Lincoln Riley and what they do, they could very well cover, but they could very well disappoint and only win by 14. So I'm staying away from that game.
Yeah, my family, they're big Nebraska fans, so they'll probably tell you all day long that Nebraska will cover that spread. I don't know. I'm not going to touch it, but Nebraska doesn't look good. They haven't looked good in a while. And, Oklahoma, albeit they didn't look good in week 1, they rolled a team that really didn't matter in week 2. Like you said, I just don't think that this is one that you can really get close to because it's just too unpredictable for me. I'm going to take something that's a little closer, actually. I looked at Colorado, so I watched that whole game last week. They hosted Texas A&M at Mile High Stadium, I believe, and they had that lead into the fourth quarter. They were up 10-3. It was a tight-knit game, but they're a 2.5-point favorite over Minnesota at home this week. I don't know what I'm going to expect to see from Colorado. I think at the beginning of the season, everybody really didn't think that they were going to do much at all, and then I think they took the world by storm last week against Texas A&M in a game that partially could have just been the fact that they were in Mile High Stadium in the middle of Denver. Like there's a lot of factors in there, and so Minnesota going into Colorado, that's a Big Ten football team, but I just don't really want to touch a line it's that tight. I just don't think that there's any security if you put your money there.
Totally agree. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No. All right, I think that'll do it for us today on the Daily Bet Show. For Johnny, I'm Jacob. Don't miss any of our coverage. PHNX has been rolling hard for the last week. I think we're going to continue to put out some great coverage. Johnny, you got any last thoughts for the people?
Oh man, catch us tomorrow night, or excuse me, Friday night, PHNX Cardinals live with myself, the great Frank Sanders, super talented Cheerson Susel. Got a lot of great content coming at you, podcasts, live streams, written content, all that good stuff. And then, of course, Cards hosting their first home game in front of live fans this Sunday when the Minnesota Vikings come to town. I'm excited for the Bird game to return to State Farm Stadium. So keep it locked here for all your Cardinal coverage.
And make sure you're using that DraftKings app. Can't go wrong any time of the week. All right, that'll do it for us. Take it easy, guys.